Well, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Automotive Insight. So we're going on 3 years of the channel, and believe it or not, we read every comment that we get. And easily the most asked question or comment is,
what are the torque specs? We don't even know.
And in a distant second place is to review this tool. This is the Xtool A30m. It is a Bluetooth dongle that will work with Apple or Android products to turn your device into a bi-directional scan tool. So let's go over some of the claims and put some of those to the test and give you our thoughts on it.
So some of the features with the Xtool is lifetime updates, bi-directional controls, which are like active test. It says it can do 23 special functions, and it has auto off capabilities.
It'll also do the thing that I'm kind of interested in is it'll do live data graphing, and you can graph up to 8 PIDs, which it kind of stands out at this price range for that tool.
Usually you see 4 with some of the smaller scan tools.
So anyway, let's put some of those to the test. So one thing that's pretty cool about this before we hook up to the car is it's got a light in it to help you be able to find the DLC. All right, so we've got our Anyscan app already loaded onto a tablet, so we'll go ahead and open it. Our first car is a 2007 Toyota RAV4. Before we get started into that, you can see there's a couple of things to look at here. These are previous reports that we've done on various cars that we've looked at since we've had this tool. If you open it up, you can see what all you did to it. So all we did there was scan for codes. On some of these, I actually did data lists too. So it'll record some of the data list stuff that you look at as well. So that's pretty cool as well. So it'll save anytime that you make a report, it'll save it for you, and you can go find it in reports. Everything is up to date on this. The settings, one thing I really like about this tool and the other Xtool that we have is you can change it from metric to imperial to US. We live in the US, so we like our mass airflow to be in grams per second. We like our fuel pressure to be in PSI. So that'll do that for you. Other than that, not a whole lot going on here. So let's just go to auto scan. It automatically pulled up somewhat. So Toyota, North America. This one's 2-wheel drive. Okay. And I'm just going to do automatic scan. All right, so we got a couple of faults here, but before I do anything, I'm just going to make a report. So this is what the report looks like. You save it. It'll save to the tool, and you can also export that as a PDF if you wanted to. If you just want to know what the DTCs are, this will just tell you what DTC it is and in what module it's in. So we have this battery was dead. So we have a couple ABS issues. We actually don't have any lights on the car. I don't even think it has a. I'm 99% sure this car doesn't have a fuel injector control module. So I'm not sure why that's there. But anyway, so from here we can go into, if we want to go into a module, go into diagnostic. Again, we know this one doesn't have any codes. You can clear the DTC from here. Since we don't have any DTCs, there'll be no freeze frame, live data, and actuation tests. So let's go to live data. And we can pick pretty much whatever we want. So I'm going to compile a list of 8 things and make my own data list here, so we can look at some stuff that's moving. So give me a minute for that. All right, so I got 8 PIDs. We'll hit custom. And here is our 8 PIDs. Let me go ahead and start this car up. So from here you can graph each one individually if you want to. So you can hit the little blue button here and it will give you individual graphs. So if you want to graph the RPM, it gives you min and max for those. If you want to look at, because it had said you can graph up to 8 at the same time, you go to combine and it gives you the color coding of each one of them, and it gives you the scales over here, and it'll do all 8 of those at the same time. So it's pretty responsive there. So now we got our just one PID. We got it on a full screen, and we're graphing it. And in the event that you need to adjust your X or Y axis, you can go over here and change the scaling of that. And if for some reason you get lost, like now when you can't find where you are, you can hit the little refresh button. It'll take everything back to standard. Down here it tells you how many PIDs that you have. Instead of just scrolling through, if you know what you want to look for, there is a search feature. So we can look at mass airflow, and it'll pull that PID up and select it for you. The reason I'm showing you that is not only to save you time there, but when you do actuation tests, it's going to ask you if you want to monitor data. You don't have that. You have to scroll through it. So that's the reason I'm showing that. So speaking of actuation tests, let's go do some of that. All right, so actuation test, what we'll do is we will control the fuel injector volume. And yes, I do want to monitor this data list to see if it's working. But you see our little search feature is gone, so now we're just going to have to look at what we want to look at. All right, so now let's go ahead and add or subtract, and let's see if our stuff changes. Let me do quick subtract. So I can tell you now that I know that it's lean because our AF is going up. And our ratio is also going up. So that works. Let's try adding some. So we're at 5%, and now we are definitely rich, and our ratio also shows that we are going rich. So that feature works as well. Not sure what else we can test in here that you'll be able to see, but let's go into some other ECUs and test some stuff. All right, so we're back into our scan menu here. So now we'll show you some things, other actuation tests that it'll do. So we'll go into main body here. Let's go to actuation tests. All right, while we're in here, we'll go ahead and do hazards just to see if it works. Not concerned about that. And our hazards are indeed working. So the bidirectional portion of it works just fine. So let's go look at something else it'll do. All right, so we've put 4 new TPMS sensors in this car. And one thing that you may have noticed is if you're accustomed to scan tools, usually when you go into an ECU, it'll give you the option of read codes, clear codes, live data, freeze frame data, actuation tests, and special functions. The special functions tab wasn't there. So in order to get to special functions, you actually have to back out to the main screen and go into special functions. So here is the special functions that it offers. Now, bear in mind, not every car is going to have every special function. So, but one that it does have that we're going to need to do is TPMS reset. We'll go over to Yoda. It's kind of a weird roundabout way. We'll talk about why they do this later, but you can read and clear DTCs from this page, but we'll go into special functions and we'll go into ID registration. Now for experimental purposes, I am going to attempt to delete the spare tire one. If this doesn't work, we'll go back and do this code into the fifth one, but I think you can put in all zeros. So now that we've programmed in our TPMS sensors, it is kind of annoying, at least with this car and Toyota. You're going to have to go back in. You had the option to read and clear codes, but you didn't have the option to look at data in the special function. So in order to see if it actually worked, A, you look at the screen, see if you got a flashy tire light. B, you go into diagnostic, or well, I'll go into auto scan. And you're going to have to go back into the TPMS ECU to see if it actually worked. Live data. Alright, so those are what we put in. So now let's see if they're reading. And they are reading. So that special function worked as well.
So we're in a Kia Forte. We're going to see what other special functions the scan tool can do. One other common one is a steering angle sensor reset. Let's see if it can do it. So we'll go into special functions, steering angle sensor. We're in the USA. We're in a 2016. That's correct. So we tried on the electronic stability program to do the calibration. We couldn't get it to go through, and that's kind of normal. Sometimes you got to go into the other options. So we're going to go into the motor driven power thing in here, and we're going to under ASP calibration. Steering wheel straight ahead. Initialization complete. And then let's go look at the live data, make sure we're within spec here.
.0 degrees.
Yeah, steering wheel's level. All right, that looks good. One common and useful feature is the Mode 6 data. And we find it easier and sometimes only under the OBD2 function. So we're going to go in there. We'll just do auto scan. And it still lists under the 7E9. Not sure what that one is, but we went to the other one and it allowed us to access the Mode 6 data that way. And you can go probably use the misfire data, and it will kind of break down the information for you on that. So that is nice to have.
It's decoded for you.
Yeah. So one common special function that we like to review, that we like to do when we're reviewing the scan tools, is the Prius ABS actuator bleeding procedure. So we are in our test Prius, and we're going to see if we can do that. See if we can do the bleeding function. We'll go under special functions, ABS bleeding, Toyota, North America. It does have radar cruise. Okay. ABS. Special functions. Go to air bleeding. Okay. And we always like to go under the actuator has been replaced. We just find that easier
because
sometimes.
That's usually what we do.
And that's usually why you're doing this. Make sure you follow these. The parking brake does need to be applied, and the fluid level does disconnect. It will not let you proceed past this point. So we'll make sure all the conditions are met. We'll put our parking brake on. We've disconnected the brake level switch. And we'll see if it let us continue. Okay, so doing that all by the book on this, it is allowing us to proceed. We're not going to go past this point because it takes a long time to do this, but this is letting us start it. So we'll go to cancel, and we'll back our way out of that.
All right, so that's going to wrap up the testing portion of the video. So let's talk about some pros and cons. So pro number one, lifetime free software updates. For the uninitiated, software for scan tools usually, as a kind of general rule of thumb, is about half of what the tool costs every year. So the fact that you get that for free.
Another pro was the data when you're looking at the PIDs. It actually updated pretty quickly. That's why I was kind of hopeful maybe on the graphing side of it, but the graphing didn't quite update as quickly, but the data displayed and updated really quickly. I thought that was really nice. One thing I guess another pro, or what I liked about it, is the app itself, you know, just getting through the screens. This might be because of the tablet we were using, but the app itself worked well. I mean, you was able, it was kind of fast, and you was able to get through the screens pretty quickly.
Pro number three, if you've watched any of our other videos that do scan tool reviews, you know I am a stickler about the units. I love the fact that they put US units for us US's.
One other pro is it's wireless. I mean, that allows the freedom to get in the engine compartment and walk around the vehicle. And the flashlight on the dongle.
All right, so some areas that could use improvement, aka cons. I understand why they do this. It is how they allow for free software updates. The fact that it doesn't have special functions when you're in an ECU can be kind of annoying. Having to toggle back between special functions and the whatever module you were in. I'd be happy with a compromise of having live data be in the special functions as well, as opposed to just having read and clear DTCs. If you could get back to live data in the special functions, would be nice as well. But that can make it difficult. So like you saw, we had the Kia, we did the 0 point, but then we had to back all the way out, then go into the SRS or whatever module we were in to look at the steering angle to verify that it actually worked. Another compromise would be just maybe make a home screen button instead of doing back. So yeah, that's another thing that just throwing it out there could be helpful. The other con that I have with it is it's not really a fault of the tool per se. It's kind of in the marketing. So we had talked about how not every car is going to have every feature. So I'll give you an example of one area where the car does in fact have this feature, but they don't call it that. And that was on the first car we worked on, the RAV4. So there is a special function for steering angle reset. The RAV4 does have that option, but they don't call it that, and it's not just a steering angle reset. So the way that Toyota does it is they do steering angle, they do yaw rate sensor, and deceleration sensor all at the same time, and they call it a 0 point calibration, and you do that in the ABS ECU. So I fooled around with it both on the RAV4, on the Prius, and on some other Toyota I had. I think it was a Highlander. You can't get to it. You can't do it. So that is one thing where you are really going to have to look into the application chart or the coverage list to see if it actually has the thing that you want. And it's another thing you're going to have to realize that not everybody calls everything the same thing. So example that you saw in the video was that Kia it had it, but it didn't call it that either. It called it something else, and we just found it messing around with it. So that is another drawback of not having special functions right in the ECU that you're looking for. But like I said, that's the way that they strip out as much stuff as they can in order to give you free lifetime updates. We did another tool that had kind of the same thing, except for they stripped out active tests. They stripped out the bi-directional part. So you go into a computer, you'd have live data. You had read codes, clear codes, live data, freeze frame, and special functions, but you didn't have the active test part of it. So that's you're gonna make compromises frequently on tools when you have free lifetime updates.
The active test, during the active test, you lose the search function for the PID. So if you have 200 something PIDs to go through, you can be scrolling a little while. So you lose that function during that process.
Another thing that I would like to see is some scan tools. If I didn't know any better, I wouldn't have thought anything about it, but some scan tools do offer it, and when you need it, it's really awesome. It would be nice if when it does the module scan, it'll do whatever, 17 modules. It would be nice if they added global OBD2 as its own module. And the reason for that is that, for instance, on the RAV4 that we looked at, if you wanted to go see if the monitors had ran, if you go into engine, you could go through live data and find whether or not each monitor is complete. That's a pretty long process to go dig through 204 PIDs to go find the ones for those. But there's no thing that tells you if the monitors have ran and been completed. That function is in global OBD2. So it would be nice if they just tacked on global into the module list whenever you do the module scan.
The voltage display on this, that is nice to have, but out of all the vehicles, you had to be down there looking.
We saw about half of it on one car.
So, because there's a lot of times you plug it in, it's upside down, depending on how the manufacturer oriented the connector.
So yeah, you don't need to do this. I don't remember if it says.
It doesn't display the voltage on the scan tool.
Okay, yeah, not most. A lot of scan tools will tell you the battery voltage like up in the top right corner. Yeah, you could do away with that.
So final thoughts. I like it for what it's worth. It definitely can cater to a DIY and some mild diagnostics, because the information does display pretty quickly. So overall, I mean, I like it, and for the current pricing, I know that changes, but it seems fair for the product.
So if you're interested in this tool, you could help yourself out and help us out by clicking through the link that we're going to put down in the description. It's going to be available. You can find them on Amazon or from Xtool's website. It's going to run you, it depends, they have sales and stuff, but on the high end, $200, on the low end, like $130-ish. So depending on what sales you can find it on. If you click through our link, I think it's 10% off. But if it's not, I'll put it down here somewhere. So anyway, guys, that's going to wrap this one up for today. Hopefully you earned a thumbs up from you. Let us know what you think down in the comment section. We have new content for you every single week, so consider subscribing to the channel. And with all that being said, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.
May not have all your answers. Hopefully I had some. That being said, we'll see you on the next one.
Then I'll pick you up at 8. You probably won't be awake. Call yourself an Uber, babe. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait.
If you're going to be breathing, I'll have you turn your mic off.
And we didn't have to download any of the manufacturer software.
I had to download everything when I first got it.